Well, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about our school. We are a
Great.
private school, and we are small. So we have about 150 students. I have about 15 full-time staff and 10 additional part-time staff.
Mhm.
So I would say this year, I want to say I think I have 2 new teachers. And that's pretty average for me, 1 to 2 per year. So it was small, but it definitely happens. And I have to be honest with you that we have this is a weak area for us, that we don't have a specific mentoring program or a program it's kind of fly by the seat of your pants. And I do an orientation at the beginning of the school year, and obviously teachers, I don't want to say that they're completely alone. Other teachers step in and kind of, stop in and say, hey, do you need any help? Can I, answer any questions? But there is nothing formal. I guess that's what I should say. There's nothing formal in place at our school. And I know that's something that we need to work on. I feel a little bit like when I have tried to do things, sometimes I get a lot of pushback from teachers. Either I've been a teacher in the past, I already know all this stuff, or hello, I just graduated, I already know all of this, I don't need help with it.
Yeah, no, I totally understand, especially if you're an administrator, right? The power dynamics of what that brings to it as well. And then they want to impress you, right? They want to show you how great they are.
Right.
And it's hard to do that when you're giving feedback and things like that. That's not evaluative. And I want to say that up front that it is not evaluative. They do get scoring only because of the data portion, but this is for them to grow, for them to select things that they want to grow with, and we support them in that step. It's called the coaching system, and what this looks like is at the beginning of the year, we do a needs assessment, because many times principals say, oh yeah, this is our area of growth, and we identify, ask a couple questions, and do a needs assessment, and then realize that maybe it's about B and A as opposed to just B, what the principal stated. And so we do a needs assessment. We meet all the teachers that want to be involved. We encourage the principal to do a volunteer, like, hey, we're doing this new program. It's a great program. It's like a mentorship program. And the teachers really don't know what's involved, but the teachers that want to get support and mentorship, they dive in, and then eventually the others come along like, what are you doing? I want to, I want to get mentorship. I want to, learn a little bit how I can make my classroom better secretively, right?
Right.
And so there's a targeted learning walk, like I said at the beginning, and then the educators get support throughout the year one-on-one through Zoom feedback, and it's just the coaching cycle. And at the end, it's a data analysis to kind of tell you what's going on, what the teachers have worked on through the year, and kind of next steps. And in the needs assessment, it's kind of like a helper. So a lot of our principals says, it's less paperwork for me because I know every month what the teachers are working on, right? What every teacher in my building is working on. So hopefully that helps. And this is kind of our model. We record, we edit, we talk to the teachers on Zoom, we give them feedback and next steps. They get to watch their video, and then we give them, kind of little homework. So the homework would be like, we saw 70% of your students pay attention when you call them to action. We're going for 80%. So when you get them ready, you say, class, class, they should be like, yes, yes, or whatever your call and response is, they should say, yes, yes, and you should be ready. Like, so at 80%, 100%, we're going for that level. And then we just re-record. So the recording kind of looks like it's 2 separate ways you can record. We put a device at the back of your room. It's kind of like a bot. They press play on the bot, and then they wear like a necklace, kind of like this, and the bot tracks the necklace, and so the bot follows the teacher, and then the teachers upload the video.
Yep, that makes sense.
That's basically it. Or, some schools are pre-wired, and they already have, like some charter schools are pre-wired, so we tap into their wire, and the teacher says, Thursday at noon, and then Thursday at noon, we capture the video, we upload it. Our debriefing is usually at the same time, and then we debrief within 48 hours. Anything past that, teachers are not going to remember, right? And so that's pretty much it. So, I mean, here are some of the proven things that we have seen. Of course, NWEA scores have improved. Of teacher retention, when teachers feel like the principal has bought in or bought into them, they stay. Their learning goals are customized for every teacher depending on their need. And then the help is, like I said, the administrator updates that the principal gets every month to let them know what everybody's doing in the building. So if you see 7 out of 10 of your teachers are doing classroom management, then, that would be a good thing to do for whole group PD, right?
Right.
And that's something we talk about. And then the resources and professional development opportunities as well. Here's an example. I don't know, can you hear that?
Barely.
Yeah, that's fine. So this is the inside of the classroom. This is the system. And so what it does is the e-coach will stop and say, hey, I have a suggestion here. And then we'll type in her suggestion or some strengths that she sees. She'll relate it to the rubric. You can select either your rubric that you're using, Indiana Goals, or it could be Common Core or whatever the rubric is. Sometimes we use a coaching rubric if they don't want to use their home rubric. And then it's all connected to the standards, and then they get to see who's made feedback on their classroom as well. Does that make sense?
Is that something that they watch after the fact, or is that live and they're watching the interaction while they're teaching?
No, that's after the fact.
Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, so if they're like, hey, I wonder what Cassandra said before we have our Zoom meeting, because we have debriefs after every observation.
Okay.
All right, and so here's what the initial visit looks like. I talk to the teacher. We talk about what are some areas of growth, what are some needs, how can I best support them. I noticed 1 to 3 years, the teachers are they need help and they want help right away. Some of the senior teachers, it takes a little more buy-in, a little more time to get used to, just debriefing and talking with people.
So you feel that this is a program that works not just for brand new teachers, but also for seasoned teachers as well?
Yes, but what I've noticed is the new teachers will take it on like this.
Right.
The senior teachers, it takes some time. So it takes about 2 months in for them to start trusting the feedback and start
That's
trying.
interesting. It's interesting that you make it voluntary so that they must desire it a little bit because they volunteered to participate, but then to wait so long for them to buy in, that's interesting to me.
It is, and it's a slow process, right? So for the teachers that I worked with in 4th grade, they were senior. They were already known as the people who other teachers looked up to. So it was this, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing it for years. But then after watching the classroom and kind of seeing some areas of growth, it just took more times to say, hey, it looks like you guys have done, let me think, the writing strategies, the writing steps. You've been doing this since the beginning of the year. Why are you still going over what is pre-writing, right? And so just asking those questions, it really helps the teacher process. And although it took a couple of times with the senior teachers, they eventually started asking their own selves those questions.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but it does work better with our teacher. So this was the first observation with the teacher. She, sat in a circle. She was telling them what they need to do for the day. And what they need to do for the day was just to read a book while she pulled kids back in the small group. And so, we went over that and we said, wow, okay, so what are your expectations? What do you want from this? And then we moved from there. When I showed her the actual video, we debriefed. And, we talked about, so how many people do you think can hear you when you're doing it in a circle, or what visual do they have? And so I gave her a couple of notes. I said, oh, congratulations, you have a board on the back. So now students can know what to do if they forget, right? They can refer to the anchor chart. So these are just some suggestions. But then I gave her a video of a teacher doing the same thing, starting reading groups. And so even though I only gave her 2 suggestions, the teacher picked up 7 things from the video of the other teacher doing something similar.
Mhm.
And that was her feedback. And so this was kind of our debrief with each other and my notes. And this was pretty much at the end, something that the principal gets.
Because I didn't know really what I was getting into, but I was very open-minded. I like to be observed and to get feedback. I do love that you give immediate feedback and things that I'm able to apply in the classroom. Before, I love the video examples, things like that. So I was able to look at those and just even think about, how my own kids and, what language I can use that they would be receptive to assignments or homework. Just, I feel like it just gives me something that I can say, this is what I'm doing, this is, and then I'm applying it, and also giving me the time. You said things to improve. I'm giving you all the things that I like. Yeah. And then also giving me time where I don't feel pressure to be the best at this by this date, and then move on to like the next step. It's just giving me more time to improve. So I think that mentor piece is very important, but I do feel like in that environment that I am by myself.
And so she just, shares what all the teachers feel who are in the classroom alone, in their silos. And so here is the NWEA scores from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year.
Wow.
The typical growth on the MAPS test is a 4.5, and her class grew 11.45. And I think it was thanks to her for just digging in and wanting to do better, right? When you know better, you do better. And so that was kind of her growth areas and her areas that she did. And so that pretty much is an overview of the system.
That makes sense.
Let me see. So, do you have any questions?
I think the biggest questions that I have to do with budgeting and implementation, like when does it begin? Is it a year-long process? Some of those, it's more logistical questions for me. I really like the way it works. I certainly think it would be valid, and I think it's, I can't be everywhere at all times, but this is a great way to have an extra set of eyes and help teachers be self-reflective too. So I certainly think the coaching piece of it would be fabulous. Now it's just the logistics of it all.
So the pricing is usually it's $17,000 per coach per year. That's the one thing is kind of a non-negotiable is with my coaches. I definitely want to give them it's not a full-time job, and they all know they're doing it part-time while they're teaching. Usually our coaches have been in the classroom and they have at least 3 years coaching experience. And so that's $17,000. And so with each device, the robots in the back of the classroom, that's about $1,200.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if you had 7 teachers or whatever, it'd be about $7,000 and some change. And there has been some times where teachers have shared the bots.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'm not using it. Hey, you can use it this week. That gets a little confusing, but it depends on like your budget.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think did we send you a price sheet? I don't see the price sheet. So those are the 2 main areas. And then like I said, if it's wiring or not wiring, but those are the 2 areas, the 2 major areas. So typically in a school of 8, it's $47,000. So it's about $50,000 for the total package. And that consists of, the e-coach, the calling, the even the flight coming to the school and doing the needs assessment, giving you the data the second day, because usually it's a 3-day needs assessment. And so the whole package, it would be, like I said, $47,000. That's for, like I said, 8 teachers. And for, usually we say 6 to 10 observation cycles. So this is going to be a year process. So.
Okay. Obviously with something large like that, I have to take it before the school board. Mm-hmm. And we do have a meeting. We always meet the 3rd week of the month. So the 3rd week happens to be our spring break. So it will probably be the last week of this month. But I could probably get back to you in 2 or 3 weeks.
No problem. Like I said, some schools have done fundraisers, and then on the flip side, some schools have used Title I and Title II funds. And then anything Title I through 5, because it's research and there is a lot of data that goes into this, and like I said, everything is tied to either your rubric that you're working with or a coaching rubric that we work with. But you will have enough data to, I guess in the year after, to apply for bigger funding and bigger grants.
Okay.
Because it is data tied to it.
Okay.
So
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, I can send you some the finance piece,
Okay.
the money piece, so you'll know exactly what you're paying for, and that's it.
Okay, that would be wonderful. If you could email that to me, that would be great.
Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. Thank you for doing this.
No problem.
All
Have
right,
a wonderful
great day.
All
You
right,
too.
bye.
Bye.